Hi everyone, welcome back to the 2020 Biz Kickstart event, and we are on with Nadine, who's going to share all about live events. Why are they important? Why do them? What's the point? And what are the benefits of them as well? So we're going to dive into a whole heap of stuff, all things events. So Nadine, share a bit about you, say hey to the people that are watching, and share how you got involved with events.
Hi, Mike. Welcome. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, and welcome to everyone here. And I think it's still appropriate to say Happy New Year. My name is Nadine de Zoeten, and I am originally from the Netherlands. Usually, my last name gives me away. I've been living in Germany. I'm based in beautiful Munich, but I work globally. And as Mike already introduced me, I focus on live events, especially for online business owners, coaches, etc., who want to add a live event as part of their business model. So what I do, and that also kind of gives me away that I'm not the average events company who does everything from kids parties to corporate events. So I'm really specific on that. I do have a corporate event branch which focuses on corporate retreat, especially for tech companies, for distributed teams. But today we're going to talk about the live aspects, the face-to-face aspect within the online world.
So why would someone with an online business take it offline? What's the benefits of doing it?
One of the benefits is we all talk about the know, like, trust factor. And it is much easier. Like when you see someone, you have instantly that feelings like, yes, I like this person, or nah, there's not the vibe. It's easier just to catch that in real life, as in to build it up over like online posting, those kind of things. So that's one thing. It's also the other reason why, from my experience, entrepreneurs aren't offering live events. And this can be anything from retreats to conferences, but also small intimate masterminds for a weekend, is because if you put people in the room, it's not only you as the coach, as the expert with the person, it's also all the other people who are adding to it. Like you get this very strong, like, the basic of a mastermind, like this peer consultation, what comes in. And the energy that happens there usually goes through the roof, and synergies are build collaborations. You get a better feeling of like, oh, this might be something what we could work on together. So that's one of the benefits of adding live events to your business. And further on, it's also a way just to position yourself. If you're saying like, hey, I'm the founder of XYZ conference, which brings in those and those industry leaders, or things like, hey, I'm having this yearly exclusive event for these top-notch clients, that gives another layer, like a cherry to already your beautiful product portfolio.
So it's almost like it's a higher level almost, because when I was talking to people about certain barriers for entry for certain things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The whole, like when for instance, I'll use podcasting as an example. Like, it used to be really hard to get involved. Like, if you told someone that you had a podcast, it was like, whoa, wow, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Where now everyone can have a podcast as long as they're confident enough and they know what they're talking about. It used to be the same with a book, right? Like back in the day, if you were an author, everyone was like, whoa, okay, this guy, Where now, like, everyone can write a book. I feel like events is almost like that next thing. Like if you run events, if you host conferences, if you have retreats, if you have masterminds, that sort of elevates you above the, almost like the noise, I suppose. It sort of puts your head above the sand in that sort of, I'm doing something that not everybody else can do.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of view indeed. And I do have to say, like live events, they've been around all the time. And I'd like to say that the 2010s, last decade, because we can talk about last decade now, were all about getting online, digitalization, working remotely, incorporating technology in life and business, and that is brilliant. Literally, it makes our lives much easier. Otherwise, we won't be able to talk right now. Otherwise, we won't be able just to host this amazing online event. But it's also something about, like, because we are so much online, we can't, like, this local connection, this face to face, where you literally can feel and smell that person, that brings something different if you see someone in real life, where you can hug in, for instance, and then always like staring at this screen, which is brilliant. But I think there's I'm going to claim it. 2020s is going to be the comeback of live events.
Is it due to the connection? Is it due to the whole, we spend so long online that we almost crave the in-person connection? Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, I think it is. It's about, I read it somewhere where they said face-to-face time is the new luxury. And I think, whoa, I really have to think about that. And it might be as well. And a part of that, we are also, if you're looking at all the economies we're living in, like, we're entering the experience economy. It's not about like you are selling this, it's more not the commodity, I need this, a product based. No, it's we want the whole package. How do we want to feel about that? And that is something you literally can create with events, with speakers, with a great setting, with acts. You can make it as crazy as you want, but also as simple as you want. But it is about the connection.
I like the way that you phrase it in the, it can be whatever you want it to be, as long as it is the experience that people are going for. I guess because in some ways, like this event's virtual, right? So
yeah.
If I was to create something offline, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, it has to be better than online.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just do a random get together in the middle of nowhere and hope people show up, because people can get a lot online these days. There's a lot out there that people can get access to from their phone, from their computer, from their tablet, without leaving the house. And then if there's an event and it's not in their country, it's not in their town, it's not in their city, they've got to have that extra commitment almost to that event.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes, well, if it's not worth it, i.e. if it's not worth getting on the plane for, if it's not worth getting on the train for, or the bus for, or driving for hours for, then people won't do it because they've got the online as the alternative.
Exactly. And of course, there are ways where you can merge them, like you can have an event and have beautiful streaming possibilities, so that people who can't come to the event itself still can join. But the experience is different. And what you're saying, it has to be special. Because honestly, I love being on site, love live events, but I do love being at home as well. And I need to have a damn good reason to leave the home and leave my pup, who is sleeping behind me right now. So it really has to be that extra thing. And that also brings it to, who do you want to offer the event for? And when I consult my clients, I always say, go for your best customer, the one where you really can go high and go deep and make that that change in their business, whatever your service is. Because it's also about like not only the time investment, but it's also the financial investment. It's also the investment for you as a organizer. Like you have to find a location that costs, catering, accommodation, everything, plane tickets. It's different than, okay, I'm just going to pay my yearly fee to Zoom and I'm going to set up this event. So there's also financial well, I should say issue into it, and that might hold people back. However, if you structure it well, you walk away with profits, because it's not only like you can break it even, but it's also about like, okay, what do you sell during the event? People get really a very taste of you, what it is you do, and they want more. So if you're clever, and everyone's clever here who's listening, you add an offer, like a high-end offer for the people who are attending your events to move forward. And that's where the money is.
It's almost the same as a book, I guess, where it used to be the book sales were what made it happen, but now it's about, okay, after they buy the book, what's next? After they've gone on your course, what's next? After they've attended your event, as you say, what's next? So does that sort of lends it over to, you mentioned that there's the financial investment, there's the time investment, potentially travel investment to a certain degree for everyone involved. So if I was to run an event in a different country, I'd have to get there. Mm-hmm. So with everybody else. So there's that whole sense of everyone's got to get up and go. Everyone's got the extra work. Everyone's got the extra, I guess, work, commitment, time, pressure, all those things that go into a live event versus anything else to a certain degree. I can't think of anything that's above a live event to a certain degree, depending on where it is. What are the barriers to creating live events? Because off the back of that springs up the idea of, what if people do struggle to put on live events and struggle to get people to go to live events? What are some of the barriers to that, and how would you suggest we overcome them?
So what I hear, like what my clients are, the questions they're raising, it's like, oh, I'd love to have this retreat in Bali, South Africa, Spain. They're beautiful locations, by the way. But I say, like, what they're fearing and what they're asking me is like, you know what, but I'm afraid no one will show up. I'm afraid that I will lose money on it. I'm afraid, like, and okay, of course, there's stuff that you can't do anything about. Like if you're planning your event in your retreat in Bali and there's an earthquake, okay, that is unfortunate thing, but that's life. Which I hope not. But those are the things. It's like, okay, there are always factors you need to take into consideration, and those are the things I'm like, that is what might hold people back. What I ask them always is like, okay, why did you start your business? And the question I usually get, I want to help people. I want really to go deep with people. I want to be able to be of service, to make an impact. And my next question is like, okay, with your product portfolio, like these services you're already offering, are you making the impact as you wish you want? And they're like, partially, but there's something missing. there's literally something missing. Like they might have a beautiful membership program or high-end masterminds where they meet online, but they can add a live mastermind session to their program, for instance, where it's totally different when you've seen each other, where the energy is there. And so my question is always, be very, very intentional about what's the purpose why you want to do this. If it's about lead generation, not sure whether a live event would be the best one. Then I would say, if you work locally, start a meetup, costs you like 40 quid a year, and get clients from there. But if you really want to go to the higher end where you can do your best work, that's really what face-to-face is. And if you are face-to-face in a group setting, yeah, well, I've been a corporate trainer for 15 years before I started this. That is where the magic happens. It happens in the damn room.
Yeah, always. I find that's the case with a lot of things as well. Like if you think about workshops or meetups or festivals or any of those things, that's where I find, I don't know if it's been your experience as well working with the people that you work with, but I find that you can only go so far online. You can only go so deep. You can only help people so powerfully, but taking it offline, there's like a new ceiling almost. Like it just upgrades everything when you're in the same room with somebody.
Yeah, but also look at all the big names in the industry, like Tony Robbins. He gets 5,000 people in a room, and like I haven't been there, but apparently it's crazy, and all the breakthroughs that are happening during those things. Or Oprah is doing this college tour at the moment, like this theater tour, where she does her what is it, an evening with Oprah kind of thing. I don't know, but where she's also being on stage again, seeing people, and look at, like I would say, just look at the big names in the industry. They all have live events. Chris Tucker with his Youpreneur Summit. Mm-hmm. It's growing every year. So it definitely has potential also just to increase your brand, but also to help people and also just to forge connections. Yes, you will have to leave the house. Yes, it is an investment. Therefore, I always say, if you're just starting out, it is a possibility, but you need to be very clear why you're doing it. If you're already a more seasoned entrepreneur, it's a great way to expand your brand.
What are the ways that we can run an event while minimizing some of the risk? And I say this because some people watching or listening might be like, okay, I want to run my first event. And then they start asking questions about, okay, well, how can I do it without too much of a risk on the organizer's front? Now, whether they make money on it, whether they don't make money on it, whether it's a bells and whistles event, whether they've got the catering and the travel and the expenses or whatever it happens to be, are the ways that we can run an event without the huge risk in terms of if it'll fail or not?
Start local. That's what I would say. Start local. Start with a network event, a meetup. It even can be like an evening workshop. Like I did my workshop literally across the street here. There's a little cafe, and the owner rents it out for events, parties, etc. And I asked her, is there a possibility if I could do a workshop there, like just in the evenings, 2.5 hours, nothing fancy, etc. So she said, no problem, I'll set it up, because your neighbor just like, okay, I'm just gonna pay 80 quid, that'll be enough. I'll put on some soda, some coffee, done. So I've done that, put the word out, invited direct friends, like business people there, invited some friends as well, asked my husband at least, okay, you're coming too. Put it on Eventbrite, spread the word, etc. And I said to myself, you know what? My break-even point, because it was really like low cost, etc. I think they had to pay €5 or something. Okay, if they're going to show at 5 people, I'm happy. And like it's a small place, like more than 50 wouldn't have been possible anyway. And in the end, I was very surprised. I had 12 people.
Right.
Yeah, because one person took his friend, etc. So that's also a small tip. Do it +1. If you sell tickets for an event, do it +1 so that the other person can come for free. So you already have like 2 people in your in the room.
Ah, good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by that. So I did my presentation, and in the end, I walked away with 2 clients who signed up directly, and I didn't even do a hard sell. I just said like, okay, this is what I do. If you need more help, just reach out to me. And they talked to me after the event. And I had another person who reached out to me, I think it was 4 or 5 months after the event, and she said, you know what, I was at that workshop back then, and I think I need your help. So start small, start local. Another example is as well like Meetup. I mentioned that before. It's also a great way just to generate contacts, to network, to work from there. And if you do start small and local, you start to spread a buzz as well, where you are seen as, okay, she's the connector, she knows people. And it's also easier because people are coming to your event. So it's a great way to network because people are coming to you. It's like, oh, hi, I am XYZ. Instead, because you're the host, instead of like you standing in the corner of a network event and, okay, who I'm going to talk to. Like we've all been in that awkward moment. But it is indeed, if you're hosting, it puts you into a total different, more empowering position. Yes, it is scary. Like I was shitting myself back then. Like, and even though like I knew half of those people, and I've organized live events for corporate, like with hundreds of people, international, global. I've delivered seminars in my corporate thing, but it is totally different than if you're doing it for yourself and it's not like a big brand where you can hide behind. So, but it is definitely the power of events.
It's interesting you mentioned that some people run events behind their brand as well. It's interesting that you say that because like this event was mine, you know, and there are people out there that run an event using their name, and there are people out there that run events using the brand. Does it really matter what the brand is? Obviously mine is my own brand, right? But there are people out there that you mentioned, Chris Ducker, is it, that runs the Youpreneur thing? We all know it's Chris that does it, but he runs it as the Youpreneur Summit. It's not like he's not front and center of everything that he does to a certain degree. What are your thoughts on like just people running events versus, you know, running under a brand name or a company?
I think it has to do with how they want to position themselves. In the end, people will buy from you because you're the things. It's like, even though Chris Ducker is doing Youpreneur, like it's like people are going to buy from Chris Ducker.
Yeah.
So it's also about like, how do you have you structured your business? Are you there as a public person, a personal brand, or are you more like, hey, things like, for me, am I positioning myself as Nadine the Zoeten, or am I positioning myself as the Zoeten consultancy and events? I use them interchangeably depending on who I'm talking to.
Right, got you.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's relevant, then you use your name. If you're talking, like, I imagine in more of a corporate setting, you probably need to use the brand versus your name to a certain degree.
If Gary V would do an event, like it will be like he does, like it will be Gary V live or something, depending also on the audience. But if he's going to do an event from his company, it would definitely probably be vendor media presents XYZ forum, focusing on large brands, like on corporations. It definitely depends on the setting, on the audience, on the intention and purpose of the event.
That makes perfect sense when you use Gary as the example there. All right, cool. Well, do you have any extra bits of information that you think that you wish that we covered? So if you were to finish the interview and be like, oh, really wish we covered that, what would it be?
Like, what I want to say is, like, it's perfect. Like, I'm a big fan of events, but I also want to highlight it's not for everyone. And that's okay. There are a lot of benefits, but it's also something you need to think through very much. However, like, work with someone like me, I will walk through you, like, okay, what are the pitfalls? How can we maneuver things, etc. So there is little risk for you from your side. That's my job. Further on, it's like, I think we're living in a great area right now where we can literally marry the online and the offline much more, and create great experiences, because that is basically what we all want. We want to help people. We want to create this beautiful impact durable in whatever area we're working in. And like, we are, as human beings, we are hardwired for gathering, for social interaction, and live events are perfect for that.
Awesome. Where can people learn more about you, Nadine? How can people find out more about what it is that you're up to?
Okay, well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, which is Nadine de Zoeten, or just Nadine de Zoeten, just type me in. And we are launching our website early next month. A lot of work behind the scenes here, which will be events.com. And
All
it's
right.
the Suite because my last name is the Suite in Dutch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Nadine. I appreciate you carving out the time for us, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Lovely. It was lovely being here, and good luck with everything. And I would say, like, you're putting on a great online event.
Thank you.